Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Quant Network, or QNT. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys, please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and if you do find any of the information in this video valuable, useful, or interesting in any sort of way possible, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. Now, overall, I have been addressing the current market structure. I will say this, I am going to have this go live after the indices do open. But it doesn't mean that you guys can't watch them throughout the day. They do react pretty much throughout the entire day. So definitely keep a close eye on the indices as well as the dollar. In terms of Quant, we did hit almost my perfect target point on QNT. I told you guys about $1.05. We hit about $1.07. I do think that we will still see that $1.05 being tested, but we are at well, I should say we're sitting at about like $115 currently. Overall, I've been addressing to you guys to watch the current market structure. It doesn't matter how bullish our assets are. If we do not, have a recovery on Bitcoin, our altcoins are not going to go anywhere. We still, want a little bit of a Bitcoin season. The last Bitcoin season was back in 2021. And it was like the beginning points of 2021. So, we're still watching this market closely. And yes, I know that we've hit all-time highs on Bitcoin back in November, but we are still waiting to see that next major rally on Bitcoin. That will basically bring alts with it a little bit. But the next major stepping stone for altcoins is basically to watch Bitcoin dominance kind of fall while Bitcoin is doing its major last rally. So, we do have a little bit of time left until we do see that. I'm still watching my altcoin holdings. I'm still holding my alts. I'm not really, selling anything, but we have been seeing a little bit of a decline now in holding addresses for QNT. This is a structure that has not been broken in over, we're talking more so about going back to January. So this has not been broken since January, and now we've finally seen this being broken a little bit. Is this concerning? Absolutely not. But I will say this, when we are talking about the current market structure, I just think that we will see a little bit of a better buying opportunity for QNT. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed that we do drop in price. We could see some major rallies across the board for Bitcoin, but the thing is that while I'm watching the dollar continue to grow and grow and grow in strength, I also see stocks getting weaker and weaker and weaker with what's going on overseas. So just please be aware of the other leading factors in this market. But today, we're going to be talking about why QNT is one of the most incredible opportunities in our lifetime. Doesn't mean that you have to buy at the current prices, though. You could wait until we see some lower prices. But let's talk about it. So first off, we do see here, nothing flows through Overledger without the QNT token. Every transaction involves QNT token. With Overledger network community, we, the gateway operators, set the price and compete with each other. Overledger Network enterprise the same, although it's likely that a license fee could give X amount of API calls. And we do see here, as you guys do see, to enforce confidentiality and integrity, QNT are used to validate with the option to sign and encrypt every transaction that flows through Overledger. Every enterprise client, developer, user, and application map validates each transaction using their QNT linked to their map ID and BPI key. No transactions can flow through Overledger without being securely validated by QNT. No third party can view or tamper with transactions and their contents, including Quant, when signed and encrypted. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Like, when we were talking about QNT as a token, I don't think people realize the power behind the token itself. Like, everybody just says, yeah, you're investing into QNT, but the token doesn't really have any use because Quant itself is basically behind everything. But that's not the case at all in this situation. We're still seeing QNT, basically being the, fuel for, the Overledger network, if you will. This is almost similar in a way to like how I compare like HBAR to XRP. For example, I think that Hedera or HBAR is incredible because HBAR powers everything on Hedera. Like the Hedera network will not be anything without HBAR as a token. Now, if you look at like XRP, for an example, I think that QNT is very similar to XRP in the sense on like how RippleNet, like you have the choice to utilize RippleNet without XRP. But if you utilize XRP, with RippleNet, you get better efficiencies. With QNT here, it's almost similar to that, but it's the idea that you basically have to utilize QNT for every transaction. So every transaction involves QNT. It's not going to be the fuel for Quant success, but it is going to be the main fuel for Overledger. This is going to be the currency that you need to hold and utilize to utilize Overledger, and you got to realize the names behind Overledger as well, which are massive names. Like we're talking about countries, banks, financial institutions and stuff like that. Like this is huge. And we do see her slowly remove your mindset from only CBDCs and finance when thinking about QNT. And this is also what I've always said in terms of like healthcare and stuff. Overledger targets everything and anything: UPS, supply chain, BASF, recycling, Neste or Nestle, provenance slash counterfeit, fiat slash Chrysler, audit, Repsol, data reporting, and even with Oracle, airline FT. And Oracle, honestly, I think Oracle is much bigger than that. Like when we're talking about Oracle, they also are in healthcare and stuff like that. Excuse me. So you really got to look at the bigger picture. And also, we even see, QNT's digital asset protocol in cooperation with Intel, MIT, IBM, banks, payment providers, telecoms, governments is just one protocol they will release as an IETF standard. Other sectors will be targeted as well. Listen and find out. And listen closely to this, guys. This is pretty interesting.
Just seeing a weekly summary of what's happening. There's a lot more activity in the meetings, I have to say, for this. It's very hands-on with the meetings that we hold. Or you can just subscribe and find out an update once a week and learn from it. The plan is to have regular industry days. We started with financial services first, and the goal is to have other sectors who are just as important. But you can come to the next industry day for FS and find out what's happened since the last meeting. Or finally, if you really want to be involved, take this to your team, assign people who can work technically on protocols or standards or use cases, and there's different types of stakeholders. So we do have quite a number of financial institutions, payment providers and organizations, telecoms, hardware, academia, government, and fintech. They're already involved. They're already helping make protocol and design decisions today. And some of them are there at a technical capacity. Some of them are there from an industry or an experience capacity.
And you really got to realize the sheer amount of money that will flow over this network as well. If we're talking about targeting multi markets on just one network alone, like this is interconnectivity throughout massive markets. This is why I always say like it's so much bigger than just CBDCs and stuff. Like we even see, Quant Network targets 28 verticals. It's actually 27. CBDCs, get a lot of attention in crypto because it is about money, and we are mostly, here for the money, right? It's logical and easy to think that way, but the world is so much bigger than finance. Money is only a tool, not the goal. And yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, like this is why I invest in Quant. Like this is what they are targeting. They're targeting supply chain and logistics, healthcare and pharma, interoperability, multi-chain digital asset industry, plus wealth management firms, traditional finance, identity, reg tech, taxation and auditing, crime agencies, legal tech, multi-chain smart contracts, wearable and Internet of Things industry, which I've always addressed. The Internet of Things industry is huge. Enterprise operations analytics, energy and power industry, airline industry, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and user entity. I mean, like the list goes on and on here. And there's just so much money behind a lot of these markets. I mean, like trade finance we talk about with Zinfin all the time. It's a $19 trillion industry. And that's just one of these. So, you really got to address the idea on like how big will this actually be? And you really kind of have to look at it from not only a perspective on like, for an example, CBDCs, but also how big are some of these other industries like healthcare and pharmaceuticals, for an example. It's massive. And we just hear, Gilbert Verdian 3 months ago, just to give you an example, in the last week since the announcement of Oracle certification, we've had an influx of demand from Oracle clients. We only expect this demand to continue. And no, these are not crypto startups with no utility. Absolutely not. I mean, like, you got to think about, Oracle, okay, as a massive company because it is. And, second biggest software provider in the world, 430,000 customers and 10,000 cloud customers, 135,000 employees in 175 countries. I mean, this is huge. And you got to listen to this.
One other question. I have some interesting information I saw about the interoperability. You have one for Ethereum and with other blockchain frameworks. Any time frame on when the interoperability would be available with? You mentioned someone with Ethereum, which I could see that about the other blockchain frameworks also.
Yeah, that's where Overledger comes in. So Overledger, as I say, provides a solution that allows you to be able to integrate different blockchain networks, and they support our Fabric instances. So that's the extent of, I guess I would say, the interoperability at the moment for between different ones. As you mentioned already, Ethereum. Obviously, we can run Solidity smart contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah. I got it. Thanks. I don't have much knowledge on Overledger. So is that another product or another framework from Oracle?
I'm sorry. What is it called?
You mentioned Overledger.
Overledger. No, that's a partner of ours.
Oh, partner. Okay, got it.
And that was Oracle stating that they're gaining interoperability through, Overledger. The Overledger network is so big. I would say, like, when we're talking about Overledger, it's going to be interconnected with massive things that we utilize on a day-to-day basis without even knowing it. Like, you got to remember that a lot of people don't know who Oracle actually is, but Oracle is behind almost everything. These are cloud-based, companies as well. Everyone knows about Microsoft, but do people know about Microsoft Azure? Not really. I mean, it's the same with like Amazon Web Services as well. Like everyone just thinks like, oh, Amazon Web Services is probably just Amazon, right? But that's not the case. And the same kind of goes for like, Q&T or Quant Network, right? Like everybody just looks at Quant Network and they're like, oh, well, Quant Network is cool and all, but like, what's the big selling point behind it? Well, it's Overledger Network. Overledger Network is so big because similar to that first image that we looked at, like this is that ecosystem. This is interconnectivity between all DLTs through this massive gateway. This also connects, these DLTs through anything. I mean, you got to realize that not every bank is going to utilize the same DLT. You also got to think about like, not every company in healthcare or so is going to utilize the same exact, system or infrastructure, right? So, building that interconnectivity, bridge between all of these major, networks and these markets, that comes with a huge price tag as well. That's why when I always look at Q&T at like $100 or $200, $300, $400, it's like, it's honestly crazy to say the least that like, this is not even scraping, the tip of the iceberg. I've always said my price targets for Q&T, and a lot of people laugh, a lot of people say it's unrealistic, but Q&T, at the market cap of like Bitcoin would be around like $60,000. And it's not the idea on when will it happen or anything like that. It's just, will it happen? And in my opinion, it will. I mean, Q&T's value isn't determined by, hype or, basically speculation. Q&T's value will be unlocked through, Overledger network, integrations and use and utility. And utility is coming, to this market very, very fast, faster than most people assume. Like, we've seen regulations being kind of streamlined with a lot of the stuff happening, but in my mind, we're still in a speculation sort of hype market where a lot of the assets that we still see on a day-to-day basis are like meme coins and stuff like that. We've seen it happen with Dogecoin and even with, Shiba Inu. But there's so many incredible gems in this market that are being hidden behind, hype assets. Even the top, 10 assets, a lot of these, shouldn't really belong in the top 10 from a technological standpoint. But we are also in a market where, people just don't care about the technology. They just care about, hey, where can I make a ton of money at? For me personally, being an early investor into something like this, like these schematics are probably something that kind of confuse a lot of individuals, especially if you don't know how like networking works, or maybe you just don't know like, how interoperability, or maybe you just don't understand interoperability, right? Which is totally understandable. I get it. This is why, I definitely do think that a lot of individuals should also do their own self-research because, I can only do so much in a short video. But when we are talking about the infrastructure of today, you kind of have to look at the infrastructure of tomorrow and how would these two be bridged. That's why I always say, Q&T is really the only, choice here from an API gateway standpoint, because API gateways are basically like the easiest way to bridge these major networks to one another. And we are seeing bridges being built all day long in crypto, from like, traditional finance to DeFi. And QNT is almost behind every single one of them, like for example, Alliance Block. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys don't want free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.